Oh, I've heard some interesting things, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I've
All right,
heard.
you hardcore listening motherfuckers, the CrunchCast starts right now. Things have gotten crazy. We got a bunch of people here tonight. It's gonna get dirty, but it's gonna happen for real. Okay, my old school best friend in the world, Chad Gleason. You know, this guy, he was on the last podcast, the last CrunchCast. We lived the dream, but tonight he's gonna talk about moving forward. He's gonna talk about starting his own company. We got Chelsea here.
Hi,
She's having
Chad.
a great time. She's gonna start drawing and she's gonna be laughing. But don't worry about that. We also have Jesse Sosa here. Started his own company and is
Hello.
making some crazy planes sharing his screen. And if you get the audio value, you got that. And we also have Pat Morrison, who has no visual presentation, but he's a great character artist at a great company and living the dream. Thank you for being here, Pat.
It's a pleasure to
What's
be
going
here.
on, chat?
Oh my god.
Sorry, I said what? Sorry, I was saying what's going on, Chad.
Oh, hey.
It got cut off. My bad. My mic shut off.
Not much. Just hanging out with a whole new group of people, which is pretty exciting. It's always fun to meet new people, especially people like Chelsea.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like a reality like TV show. You're just like in the corner eating your popcorn, being like, "All right, so when's the next shitstorm gonna happen? What is going to come out of their faces next?"
So those that don't know Chelsea Douglas, her audio is a little low right now, but she's a
By now.
fantastic concept artist. Didn't you just get a job at what? Where? When, recently? Where you told me about this? I don't want. I just want to let you say it.
This is on the down low.
Right now, I'm at a mobile company out in Washington, and I'm making games.
In Seattle.
Yep, it's fun time
Cool. Hey Jesse,
all
What?
the time.
you just released a video, right? Your company, Dinosaur Games.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, no way! I want to see. Sorry, I probably should like type this in the chat. Not get all excited about it candidly.
No, that's cool. I just wanted him
Serious,
to,
guys.
Dinosaur Games, your game. You just released the gameplay video. We'll put that in the link. What would you like to add about that?
Hold on. I'm actually looking. Where is it?
Okay, the problem with having Jesse on the show is he's always working, so that's why he's sharing his screen right now, because he's working. And he's a hard fucking worker. He's one of the hardest fucking workers I've known in my life. But on top of that, he's not just one of those guys that just like shits on himself by working hard all the time. He works smart.
Explain that concept, Chris. Working smart. What does it mean?
He's making his own thing. He's not just like dicking around. All right, I got your video up here on the screen right now. The Mech Knight Chronicles Work in Progress Gameplay Video 01. It's on the YouTube.
This game is relevant to my interests.
Why don't you tell us about it?
Tell us about your video, Jesse.
Oh,
Sosa.
see, I've been talking, but my mic's been on mute.
Was it on mute by yourself? Because I didn't press anything.
No. I usually keep myself on mute because I'm just working, so I don't really. But yeah, I just was saying
I do
that
the same
we
thing.
finally got to a point where we're able to show off gameplay footage and stuff. So that's our first shot at that. There's still like placeholder effects and all that in that video, but we got 3 weeks until PAX East, so that's lots of late nights.
Absolutely. Those with the quality of video here, you can see I'm kind of sharing it here, but we'll put it in the links. If you don't have the video, it's basically a what do you call it? Like a side scroller beat 'em up kind
Yeah,
of
it's
game.
a brawler. It's
A
a side-scrolling
brawler.
brawler.
3D.
Yeah.
What platforms do you anticipate it for?
Well, right now we are official on PSN and Vita, but we're pretty much shooting for any of the digital distribution platforms. That's pretty much what we're going for. Got to evolve with this industry. It's going in that direction, so can't get caught off guard and whine about it later.
Oh, absolutely. Everything has to be available on whatever, and has to be online. Like I have to be able to play it kind of instantly. That seems to be the new
Yeah,
thing, right? Play it unless
Yep.
it's like a major title. You have to download like a bunch of files to play it. Like instant playing is a big thing, right?
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting about the PS4 with their Gaikai technology to be able to actually go in and actually just start playing as soon as your game starts downloading. Kind of changes a lot of things.
Yeah, these instant demos. I don't know how many people are familiar with on live technology, but I feel like they're a bit ahead of their time.
yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like that's the next step that's going to happen with once the speeds of these internets pick up. Actually, we all kind of goof on this thing. The American internet speeds are so far behind other countries, especially Japan. Like you could be streaming games instantly, but on live is still pretty fucking dope. And that kind of
Yeah.
technology, the idea that you could just be streaming something from the internet, especially over time, that's going to be Wi-Fi. So you're not even plugged into anything. It's going
Eventually,
right
yeah.
to your monitor, and eventually,
Yeah,
5-10 years, right?
Game consoles are going to be set-top boxes probably by next gen. Not this current one, but the idea of actually having a dedicated, high-powered machine that you
Yeah.
have to spend $500 on is probably going to go away.
Yep.
At least as far as consoles are concerned.
I agree
PCs
with
will
that.
be PCs.
Right. The idea that it's not going to be the hardware that drives it so much as
God,
the.
and that's going to be so sad. It's like now, am I going to buy the Sony set-top box or the Microsoft set-top box, which has no differentiation of any kind? It's just what exclusive games are on it.
Well, who knows? It might end up like a Steam. Steam is like the number one, right?
It would be interesting if Steam
Like
literally
Origin's
just
out there,
came.
but it's like.
If Steam just literally just the Steam box showed up. I mean, we still don't know exactly what it is, but if that thing just showed up and just took over, I mean, that would be really interesting.
I think price point's what's really going to keep Steambox out of people's out of the casual buyer's house.
Well, they're basically spec'd PCs, aren't they? I mean,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at that point, I might as well go buy a powerful laptop that I can also do work on and stuff like that.
right.
If they can keep the price point down, say like Ouya's at $99. Obviously, I don't expect Steambox to be at $99, but
No.
if they can keep the price point down, then yeah, they'll definitely get some penetration into the consumer market. But yeah, man,
Well-
that's their biggest hurdle right now.
It will be really interesting to see what their business model is because there's no way they're going to be able to, or even should try to compete head to head with Sony and Microsoft. It's more like I thought it'd be more. I thought the Steambox was more like a recommended specification that third parties can just build for. It's
Yeah,
like if you become an officially what do you call it? Approved Steam, like you could put the Steambox sticker on your front box and you'll be able to run Steam. Like when you start the machine, it'll just go right into Steam.
that's the idea from what I can understand.
And that actually sounds like it could really work because then you just have like 100 different third parties making a Steam box, their own Steam box that all follow the same spec, and that could really be an interesting competitor.
Yeah,
Like,
it's definitely going to be something that they're going to have to be just real tricky on how they market it. I mean, it's not going to be any of this brand confusion like the Wii U or anything like that, where people are
Oh,
like, "What
God.
the hell is this? Is this just a controller for my Wii?" People still don't
Right.
really know what that is. Yeah, no, I could totally get behind it, but for me personally, it's just going to come down to price point, whether I'm going to purchase one or not. But that's not going to keep me from wanting to develop for Steam. Steam is definitely
Well, yeah.
the future.
Yeah, I mean, Steam is a fantastic platform to put stuff on. What do you think of Ouya? Is that a good indie platform?
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm digging it. We have a dev kit and everything. Actually, our game Mech Knight Chronicles won one of their contests. We were one of the 10 people that they chose to win dev kits for free, and I'm really digging it. And it's a real cheap console for $99, and it's going to be pretty nice. It's nice and open for developers. You could just do put stuff up there. They want games. They give you control over the monetization. There's a lot of just real neat things about it that really excite me as a developer.
Every time I look at it, I mean, it's like I'm really concerned that there's definitely seems to be a diminishing returns going on with public perception of new consoles. PlayStation 4 is gorgeous. I mean, as a graphics, as an art whore, I'm really excited about the possibilities for visuals on PS4.
Yeah.
I consider myself minority. The majority of people are going to look at what PS4 looks like and be like, yeah, that looks like what my PS3 looks like. I mean, I just don't think the average consumer is going to really appreciate the difference. And I don't know. I think they're all going to struggle.
Yes, because that is definitely how you wrangle in the common people, the people that you got to sell to, at retail stores. For me, I'm not really impressed with anything anymore when it comes to graphics. Right. It's all about gameplay for me. Right. So when I see things like the Ouya where they allow developers to experiment with gameplay, that's what really excites me.
It's like the only thing that's I would easily see Ouya literally just exploding as long as they can get the word out. I mean.
Yeah, they just their issue, at least from what I can see from outside looking in, is confusion in the marketplace. People are so used to consoles, so you get the two different people. The people that are like, I already have an Xbox, why do I need another one? Right. And then you got the other people that are like, why do I want a smartphone to put on my
Right.
And they just don't get it. They don't get the potential behind it.
It also doesn't help that probably more than likely the majority of games that will be on the Ouya will also be on your smartphone. You're literally just developing for yet another Android device. The difference is that it's a single Ouya comes with a controller and it hooks up to a TV. So it's and isn't it like clocked up a bit? Like isn't it gonna?
It's overclocked. And there's a fan on there to help keep it cool and stuff like that. It's definitely not a cell phone or smartphone, or I'm sorry, a smartphone or tablet device. I mean, you can do a little bit more. It's basically a Nexus 10, a little bit more powerful than a Nexus 10.
Yeah, an overclocked Tegra 3 system, I imagine, could produce some visuals that are at a glance on par with everything you're looking at right nowadays. I mean, it's not gonna. PS3, Xbox 360. I mean, you're looking at an Ouya game. If it's got the same development budget behind it, probably would look pretty similar.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to get Mech Knight up and running on there too. Got some frame rate issues at first, but that's working with a non-final SDK, so it's definitely has potential.
What's your development environment, if I may ask?
Like in terms of like software and all that.
Yeah, well, software engine, that sort of thing.
We're using Unity 4.
Cool.
I build everything in Max. Our animator does everything in Maya. Our programmers are on Max or Macintosh at that point. We're just all over the place. I mean, we have a team of about 14 people, and
Unity's pretty exciting. Unity's pretty exciting that you can pretty much just dump everything from everywhere into it, and it just doesn't care. It's like, oh, you made this in Max, fine, take it. It's just pretty much a repository for just about every platform I've seen. If you can make it, it can take it. It's pretty sweet. It's a pretty sweet environment. I don't find the more I mess with Unity, the more I just fall in love with it. As far as
man, it's pretty cool. I'm really digging it. It's definitely. It has its issues, right? Every engine does, but just the fact that when we're done, we can easily just port it over to whatever we want.
Well, yeah, that blows me. It's like awesome. It's like, generally speaking, that's like always traditionally been a problem for an indie developer. It's like only the biggest companies would be able to port their game to multiple platforms. I mean, you had to usually just focus on one platform if you were lucky, and it's just like with something like Unity. God, Unity supports everything that exists. I mean, it even supports the 3D engine. It even supports the 3D capabilities of Chrome, for God's sake. Like who the hell?
I know, it's nuts. I mean, and when we got our Ouya dev kits, it came with it launched with their Ouya. I mean, I'm sorry, with their Unity plugin as well.
Yeah, so it's just like if you're basically developing your game on Unity, you're pretty much almost automatically got your pick of every platform that's out there. I mean, if they'll take if the Wii will take your game, then you can just easily port it to the Wii and release.
Yep.
It's incredible. I've yet to see an engine. Yeah, I think UDK is still pretty ubiquitous as far as platform support, isn't it nowadays?
Yeah, it definitely does.
But their cost of entry is, even for their so-called indie version, is still incredibly not attractive.
Well, even then, like, it all comes down to what we're paying for. What I want out of a game engine right now is everything that Unity is. I don't really care about bells and whistles since our game is Fulbright. It's not like I care about advanced shaders and keeping up with the latest tech. Nah, that stuff means really nothing to me anymore.
Right. And not only that, but
as my animator just pointed out, except I guess cloth sim, that's the only thing that's kind of hurting us right now in Unity. It's driving us nuts.
Right.
Yeah,
is it no? I haven't gotten that far with Unity. Is it pretty much no good in that arena?
It's there's a definite lack of and I don't want to say cloth sim. It's rigid body simulation like Bones and all that. So that's where we cheat and we use bone driven physics to simulate our cloth.
And then there's cloths just skinned to the bones, and then the bones. Yeah, all right, yeah. I've done that before. That works pretty well.
Yeah, it's just right now it's not necessarily, there really isn't anything great for that.
Right.
That's a bad thing.
Yeah, I would usually just bake that shit, but it's you can't do it if you're trying to make it truly dynamic. So.
Yeah, definitely not when you're looping animations or having interrupts like we do. I mean, we can interrupt out of combat and stuff. So yeah, baking is the last thing we want to do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's but yeah, that's the one thing that hurts us right now.
Yeah, nothing's ever perfect. I have constant struggle with Maya on as far as talk about not underdeveloped, but just I don't consider Maya to be particularly indie friendly. It's pretty much it's hugely designed for studios that are not only willing but absolutely expecting to completely customize their pipeline.
Yep, have custom tool support.
Yeah, and when you're a small outfit with only a couple of animators, you don't have a dedicated TD department that's going to write your pipeline for you. So you just hope your tools work. And that's
true.
We're lucky that we have some really good friends that are TDs, so they helped us write tools and stuff.
Oh, that's great.
The last year of my development has been an interesting introduction to Maya. I hadn't used Maya since 2005, when my company at the time was slowly transitioning from Max to Maya. I think that was right around the time where Butcher Bay came out and people had normal maps, and then there was Doom 3 and the lines started blurring, and we were all kind of switching over to Maya. And just as that happened, I got out of that particular company and went to another Max house, and have worked at Max houses since, up until about a year and some change ago. And my God, Maya feels like one of those programs that you have two left hands when you're using it, unless you have a guy who knows how to script you a right hand.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost unusable without a massive list of plugins. I just feel, as someone coming from Max into Maya and having to use it on a day-to-day basis, it is very, very unfriendly. I feel.
Yeah, when I started my company, I kind of sat down trying to figure out what tool I was going to kind of standardize on, because when you don't want to be, you kind of want to pick something and hope you get it right, because once you're used to it and you know it, then it's that much harder to switch away. And I was trying to decide between Max or Maya, or even Lightwave at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was familiar with all of them. Being that I wanted to be able to I kind of took a sky's the limit approach where it's like I want to be able the tool I pick, I want it to be one that won't hold me back if we get a big job that needs fur and hair and all these advanced effects. I want to make sure, I wanted to, I definitely wanted something that was going to grow with it, grow with me, and so Maya's kind of like the film darling, so it was just like, all right, and that was the most familiar with Maya because I had just all my previous jobs I'd done in Maya. I hadn't used Max since several years prior. So I was like, all right, we're going to do Maya. This is great. And I've found out over the years that I honestly think that we as a studio need to make some pipeline changes to speed up, just because like our guys are familiar with the tools, we're fast at the tools, but the tools themselves just feel slow. And it really kind of comes down into rendering and actually outputting your work. So if you're totally in a real-time capacity, Maya is actually not so bad. I mean, you can model if you're fast and good at an app, then you're fast and then you can rock at it. And we're fast modelers, we're fast animators, but rigging is so low level in Maya. It's like how many different ways do you rig a human or just a base model before you start customizing? You pretty much do it the same way every time, unless there's some specific requirement. And simple things like stretchy IK or things that every rig you want to have, you have to like build from scratch in Maya unless you write a tool or find a tool that does it. It's like I would really love to see them produce some high level tools, that not so much an auto rigger. I can't stand auto riggers where it's like, oh, here's a biped, put your arms and legs in this right spot and hit the button and bang, you have a rig. I mean, that takes all the control out of your hands, and I hope you're not trying to do anything that's not a biped. But it's like at the same time, I'd love tools that would be like, here's your chain, add stretchy IK to it. Add these functions that you always use. I would love to see tools written. Anyway, I'm on a rant here. I'm sorry, guys.
No. You're bringing up all sorts of great points. Even with the
many people's interests, like, please rant. Like, this is good. Go, do it, rant.
Even with the depths of my frustration with Maya, I have to say that when it comes down to it, especially in games, all signs point to that program. So as much as I dislike it, it'd be the first thing I would tell anyone starting out in the industry or going to school or being interested in games at all. Just like, I've been using Max since a long time ago, but I love it. But the first thing I'd say is like, yeah, you guys might want to look into Maya instead. And it's a bitter thing to swallow. But
I think architecturally, Maya really is pretty badass. Like it's one of those apps that I've spent a lot of time researching and working with other apps because I'm the studio head, and my guys don't want to be bothered with experimenting with tools. They just want to do their work. And so me as the guy responsible for the pipeline, I'm trying to find those tools or those workflows that would speed us up. And so I've experimented with Max, Lightwave, Cinema 4D. I've even spent a lot of time in Blender, which is turning into an amazing app, by the way.
Right?
But it's
yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it's like. It really is. It's like it's still missing some critical things, I think. But holy shit, their development pace is outstripping a lot of the commercial packages, and I'm actually finding myself more productive and faster in Blender than I am in Maya, and that's just because it's just crazy.
And touching back on your point about like using Maya, it's actually in terms of like an artistic point of view, as an artist, like if you have Maya under your belt, like you're pretty much set. Like you're able to go from games to commercials to pretty much
totally.
Like it's a really really good program to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're not going to go from. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just kind of reiterating what she said. With learning Maya, it bridges multiple fields. Like Maya is used across all of them in some way. So if you know that one and you feel like, man, I can't stand video games, I want to go work on film, and then put a green square next to my name on Facebook, I can still do that, or I can leave film and make video games, and then put a different or colored green square next to my name.
You know, and it is kind of frustrating. Like, as a studio owner, my mindset is entirely different than the mindset of an employee. As an employee, you want to work with tools that will get you a job. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, you go talk to anybody and they're like, why are you using Maya? And one of the primary reasons they're using it is because, well, that's because all the studios, all the places I want to work are using it. You know, and it is a powerful tool. I like I said, we've been using it for years, and it has never failed me. It just takes me twice as long to get there.
It just crashes every 5 minutes.
Yeah. But there's usually a solution if you're using Maya. You know, it's like it doesn't have any hard and fast walls. You know, it's like, okay, you're not going to hit the wall with Maya. You can usually you can get there if you're using Maya, and I really, really appreciate that about the program. But at the same time, it's like, isn't speed a feature?
Efficiency and everything. But the thing is, with like working with Maya and being able to get it like, you know, flowing in a very efficient way, is that you have to like do a lot of like, you know, making sure that like you've got all your hotkeys down. Like you have to do like a little bit of work to actually get it to the point where it can be used in an efficient way. Because Maya right out of the box, like, and I've like heard this from multiple friends like across the visual effects industry, like you're gonna have to like customize it. You cannot just download Maya and be like, sweet, here we go, like let's like model, rig, and animate everything.
Well, exactly.
You have to like actually put some,
you know, as a
grace into it,
because like yeah, it's like you basically, Maya shines when you have a large group that is customizing a pipeline for specific need, and but when you're a general. Like I said, my studio is a generalist studio. We have generalists that work at the studio, and everybody does a little bit of everything. And I find that in Maya, every time I want to switch, like, okay, today I'm going to work with particles. Yesterday I was doing character rigging. Okay, well, today I'm going to work with particles. So I'm going to spend the next 2 hours searching the internet for some basic tutorials to do the most basic things just to refresh my memory, because it's not particularly intuitive and it's incredibly complex. And meanwhile, in several other apps, Blender included, I can just piddle around and get those effects. I can. It's like the developers put effort into. They realize that a lot of their users are just want to get things done, I guess, and they actually present the tools in a way that's intuitive. Whereas Maya doesn't seem to concern itself with that shit. They're like, here is all the complexity, all of it exposed, all for you. Have fun. So it's actually really frustrating, but at the same time, when we've invested so much time and energy into getting good at Maya, that it's really hard to want to walk away. It's like, you know, I think we can just tough it out because we really know what we're doing in this program, and if we, so it's.
Honestly, in my personal opinion, I think it's a really good move that you guys are working in Maya.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful tool. You can do so much with it. Plus, if you bring it to the point where like you're collaborating with other studios, like
exactly
that common kind of ground, so to speak. Like it's a good thing. I'm cheering you guys on for more reasons than one.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's mainly my crew is pretty much, they hate, like one of my guys. It's just fun to watch him talk about it. You know, he's like, he just hates Maya so much on every given day, but it's not because he likes something else better. It's like he just hates the struggle to, you know.
Welcome to 3D.
Yeah.
Welcome to making games.
To achieve. Well, see, yeah, exactly. I'm used.
Your fucking tools are always gonna like.
Can't we just make art, man? Oh
God. No, it's not. It's never. Yeah, no.
Can't it just work? Why does it just work?
Where's the easy button, motherfucker?
I hit the button and it's not working. Why isn't it working? Where's the tech director? Where is he? Oh, he's out to lunch. Well, nothing works until he gets back.
We have a fun joke around the office every time Maya. you usually can tell the apps that frustrate you the most because you're usually the ones that you're the most excited about a new release because maybe this is the release that makes the tool work. So Maya 2014 is less than a month away, and I can't wait to see what they've got on offer because maybe this year they will make it work. And the but yeah, it was probably in hindsight I do flip flop a lot, but in hindsight I think I agree with you, Chelsea, that I think Maya is a great choice for the purposes of if you can get good at it, you have a pretty high ceiling of what you can do with it and how far you can take it. But damn, I can't wait till the studio makes enough money to hire a dedicated TD. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
We have a programmer on staff, but he's spending all of his time in Unity, not in Maya. And I just want to you know what? Screw all that interactive bullshit. I want you to be my TD in Maya.
That's awesome, though. So I've been hearing lots about you guys. So I guess it would be relevant, like this episode of people like actually coming on in the middle of it, like, what's CrunchCast? What's this guy doing? Like, when did you guys establish, and what was your story and everything, and how did it happen? What's the magic? Tell me the magical story about your founding of your company.
Oh, is this me we're talking to? Okay.
Yep.
Very magical.
Weave us a yarn.
Yeah, I did this once before, Chris.
No, you have to do it again.
Okay.
I'm here, and I'm eager to hear the
Just
story.
give the cliff notes.
Yeah. Really, nothing particularly special going on. I mean, it was as you know, if you take me real far back, I used to work with Chris in games. We shipped a couple titles. I hopped jobs every time we shipped a title. And I was married, had kids, kind of didn't want to keep changing states every time I shipped a title. So I decided, we had we had a development deal to do an educational game. So I kind of took that as an opportunity to move back to my hometown, kind of try to grow some roots there. And me and Chris worked on this indie game along with a few other people.
Okay. So what was your discipline before?
I was a character animator and generalist, mainly generalist, focusing on characters. But so went back to Lincoln, Nebraska. Lincoln, Nebraska, everyone. Just picture that in your mind.
The place to be.
Yeah. Decided to work for some friends of mine. To see if maybe you could, turn it into something. They were a startup agency, and I figured, hey, that could be a good gig, just kind of ground floor of a new little, studio, and it'd be fun. But the reality of it wasn't so hot. A lot of infighting, a lot of the studio just didn't know its head from a hole in the ground. But while I was there, got to be real good friends with their head of marketing, and we really gelled. We had a lot of the same goals. We kind of felt we could do it better than the company we were working for. So we broke off, started our own thing. Started in our basement. Started in my basement, actually. And but being in Lincoln, Nebraska, there wasn't much opportunity to do any sort of game development or real time. We weren't going to be doing any feature films or anything like that. But we've been kind of carving out our niche, just doing commercial animation work, video work. We're with the studio is still pretty small, but we've got shooting stages and sound recording and editing suites and all the fun toys. So it's actually it's a good time. And really got a great crew. Just strong artists. So it's nice to still have that environment, and we've been trying to cultivate and build that same sort of game development studio feel in my hometown of Lincoln, Nebraska. And kind of excited about now that indie development is kind of getting going again. It's because when we started the company, that we were just talking about that earlier in the in the show that indie development was non-existent in the early 2000s. I mean, it was like you were either developing for a publisher or you weren't developing.
Where you're making Flash games for Newgrounds. Which I mean, there's totally totally great work on Newgrounds.
Totally viable.
But that was the option at the time. That was all you had.
Yeah, I actually, I kind of get a kick out of the talking to new artists. How they're so easy to sort of scoff at the people that did Barbie's Adventures or the Tinkerbell show. All these like all these little made for kids or just small little productions that are no good or get poor reviews, and every time I hear them kind of scoff at that, I just be like, you know what? Shut the hell up! You would kill to work on those shows.
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah. I mean, it's like, because you know what? Because when you work.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like totally interrupt your point, and I totally did.
No, go for it.
Do you guys feel like mobile games used to be like that in a way, or it's just like if you're an artist, you'd be like, okay, mobile games.
I have.
I would much rather work on AAA. Like, fuck you guys. Like,
my attitude towards mobile development. We recently, we first started getting back into mobile or real-time game work just a couple of years ago. I mean, we still don't do much of it, but we're getting more and more into it as we kind of develop our, as far as the word gets out. But one of the first things we did was we made a little like a feeding frenzy clone for a local school, and we did it all in Flash before Flash had any 3D capability. But it was a 3D game. It actually had 3D characters in it.
wow.
It was all software 3D.
For you, friend. What is that?
And
Can you explain
what's that?
In layman terms?
Oh, say that again. I'm sorry. Your volume's kind of low.
Sorry. Can you explain that again in layman terms? Just the general style and how you're able to achieve it technically.
Oh, okay. Well, this was, like I said, a couple years ago, before Flash had any actual GPU acceleration, and we did a kind of a feeding frenzy clone with an actual in a 3D environment with 3D characters in real time. And it was literally just a software GL. It was just a software engine. It looked like a PlayStation 1 game. In fact, we probably were capping out at total poly counts less than your average PlayStation 1 game. Our main character had, I think, like 100 or 200 polygons or something like that. It was ridiculous. And as we were developing that, it was just all the artists on the team were just crying and moaning and complaining, just like oh, it's like, oh my God, they just couldn't believe it, because we usually work in kind of the TV, the film TV market where it's push as many polygons as you can to make it look good. There is no such thing as a poly limit. And now I'm telling everybody that they have to make a profile that looks good with 1 to 200 polygons, and so I was kind of like taking them all through kind of like a retro education where we would load up like Spyro the Dragon and a few PlayStation 1 games and just be like,
That's fucking brilliant.
It's like.
Okay, so artists having in mind about something, about restrictions, like that should be them, like just basically having their heads up their asses. Like,
Well,
I wanna do this.
well, but that's kind of.
Because I get direction. Like I've gotten direction in the past, right? Like, or I just do not agree with it. And like I can either be like, all right, fuck you guys, I'm gonna make it look shitty, or I'm gonna do the best that I can within those restrictions. There's
Right,
this
and
really cool thing that you guys are familiar with White Stripes, right? The band.
Yep.
Okay, so Jack White, or his name is. There's a documentary, and there's this quote that he says, or it's basically the idea that I'm going to paraphrase right now. Basically, that restrictions actually help make creativity flourish, because
Yes.
you're within
Absolutely.
those restrictions,
Absolutely.
and you can either run with it and make it awesome, and kind of help that thing look awesome within those confinements, or you can be a total bitch about it and whine and moan and Like, I don't want to do this, you know. So I think that's really great that like you, as a leader of a studio, actually like gave them these resources to be like, hey, this is how it could look, you know.
Yeah, and it took some counter programming, but they got that they did run with it. The game itself, there was only so much we could do, but and a lot of the crew wasn't really familiar with real time development, so it turned out okay. But it was a good first run for us, and but it was like it was that's kind of how I think exactly what you said. It's like half the fun of game development is making your shit look amazing with nothing. It's like, look what this guy managed to do with 1,000 polygons. It was and a 256K texture. I mean, it was
absolutely. I mean, man, that's you hit the nail on the head for me. Like that's why I really don't have any interest in like film or anything outside of games, because I love the restrictions of like, oh yeah, like, well, let's make it look awesome at runtime, like make it real time and look as awesome as you can. It's something that's always fascinated me.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
And it's really my
internet fist bump right now.
Yeah, woohoo. Yeah, I love games. Like I don't think I could do I don't think I could like upgrade to like crazy shader networks and pre-rendered everything.
Yeah,
and
I'm in love with both. I actually every time it's like I love real time, but I also love rendered. I mean, it was like for me, what excites me is either seeing an amazing piece of art done with 1,000 polygons and 256 take texture, or it's entirely the other end of the spectrum where I see this goddamn hair simulation that just blows my socks off.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. That was amazing.
I mean,
Good art.
yeah, it's like. To me, I just match the art with the medium, and I try to make myself aware of what the limitations of the medium are, and it's really can be frustrating sometimes when you're bouncing back and forth to like walk in. It's like we're doing a little tech demo in Unity right now, and we're starting to build a mini game for it, and well, the game will call for these little characters to run around on screen, and we could have upwards of like 20 to 50 of them. And this is going to be all playing in a Flash 3D browser, a 3D Flash browser. So I know full well that the poly count's going to have to stay low, texture size are going to have to stay low, the bone count's going to have to stay low, and because I'm going to be propagating this thing like 20 or 30 times, and so I'm sitting here modeling it, and like guys would walk around my desk and be like, hey, wow, that looks kind of like shit. I'm like, it's freaking 300 polygons, shut up. You want to see the ZBrush model? I'll show you the ZBrush model.
Another feedback besides like that shit, I think that, okay, so can I make a point here where people like art and okay, so if you see something and it doesn't look good, okay, great, good job, you've identified like an issue for yourself. However, like, can you go constructive with this? Yes, you can. You can be like, okay, like, I'm gonna give you constructive feedback, not just like sort of criticism. Like, there's a huge difference between that, and they yield totally different results. Like, right now I'm working on a very small team, right? Just have to be very delicate with how I handle different situations socially, and people really respond well because everyone's so invested heavily, and just people have a lot more on their plates. Like, people respond way better to like, hey, this looks great, but how about this, because because of this, like X reason. I can't think of a proper thing because it's how fucking late is it? I'm really fucking tired. I honestly feel like I'm about to fall asleep on my syntax. Basically, constructive criticism, it's good. Fuck you guys, I'm tired.
No, that's cool. We gotcha.
Right.
No, we love it.
No. Right.
It is true, absolutely.
I
Like
actually do need to like get up. Like, I've got like fucking 3 hours commuting each day, so I'm actually gonna peace out right now. I hope you have a wonderful night. Enjoy the rest of the cast. Please edit out me leaving and stumbling over my words because I'm really fucking deliriously tired. And I'll see y'all later.
It was great. It was great meeting you.
nice to meet you.
Colorful. All right. Have a good night, you guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Gonna have to amplify her audio.
I love meeting people that say that they're tired because they woke up late or early. I'm like, oh, that's cute. I'm running on hour 20 right now.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
I cannot do that anymore. I have lost that ability.
The worst it got for me, I think, was at Jalico. When we were doing 6 month death march. That was
6 months of fun.
That was pretty insane. I haven't pushed that hard since because I kind of found
Because you got out of games.
Well, not just yeah, but not just that. But I remember seeing how we all were when we were doing mandatory 12-hour days and all this other stuff. I remember seeing like everyone would spend at least 4 hours of those 12 hours just fucking off. Like it would be like we'd be taking 2-hour lunches and everyone would just be playing Battlefield, and it would just be like, it's like for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I mean it's the only way to give your brain a break.
Right. Yep. It's like, why not just compress that into an 8-hour day where you're not playing Battlefield and taking 2-hour lunches and then go home?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth behind that. It really just depends on how you spend your time. Obviously, if you're making a game for someone else, yeah, you're not going to be personally invested in it.
See, in your case, I'm pretty sure it's just because you have that much work to do, and that's when those 20-hour days kind of fly by, like where you're just pretty much, you're just like, holy shit, I've got so much to do, and you just the several early morning stints that I have done since were always entirely on those lines, where it's like it wasn't because I was putting in the time. It was like, no, it was this just didn't need to get done.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I applaud you, sir. That's hardcore.
I mean, it's my baby, so I got to get it done.
Yep.
It's hard to rely on anyone else.
Oh, I heard that. It's nobody as invested as you when it comes to your thing. It's just you wish it was, because damn, it would make your life easier.
It's a rare opportunity, so I don't blame you for jumping all over it 100%, 110 probably.
Yeah, it's definitely a rare opportunity. It's hard, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done, but yeah.
Well, so I've been jabbering on. Jesse, how did you get started, man? You got your own game studio.
Yeah, it's just been doing it for a long time. Just got sick and tired of working on crap for someone else. I've always been very opposite of what most game artists are. I mean, anyone that's ever worked with me knows that I hate ZBrush. I hate next gen art. I hate everything like that, because again, it goes into my whole belief of killing creativity in the industry. And the more you can make it look like a real person, the better. And it's like, no, it's not.
Bullshit.
And I'm not saying that ZBrush is only used for that kind of stuff, but it makes it easier to give people those type of results. As opposed to trying to make a character look impressive with 1,000 tries. It's like, well, okay, that's going to take some creativity in there. How are you going to make that work? But yeah, man, I just had enough of it. It just after 12 years, it was enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just needed to do my own thing, because it was the perfect opportunity. I left a very secure cush job, to shake things up, because I didn't want to be comfortable anymore. I didn't want to feel like I didn't need to challenge myself. I didn't want to feel like, oh, it's okay, man. I can come into work and, everything will be safe. I'll have my paycheck at the end of the month. I didn't want to feel like that anymore. Mm-hmm. I just felt bored. I felt stagnant. I felt like everyone else doing the exact same type of next gen art, and I hated it. I hated it. I was repressed, and after 9 years being at TRI, which the main reason I went to TRI initially was because all their games at the time were all original IPs.
Mm-hmm.
You had Blood Rain 1, you had Roadkill, and you had this other cartoon game, and they hired me for the cartoon game. And when that fell through, I went on to start Blood Ring 2, and from there on, just started doing games, and just little by little, everything started getting more licensed and more realistic. And by the end of it, I was just sitting there, making General Grievous and C-3PO, and I was just like, why am I wasting my artistic juice on this? This has been created so many times. I'm sick and tired of it. And it came down to one conversation with my art lead, who, as soon as I found out it was Star Wars on day one, because I fucking hate Star Wars, day one, I went to his office and I said,
shots fired.
I said, I'm looking for a job. And, I said, I'm going to start looking for another job. And he's like, why? And I was like, I hate Star Wars, man. And he's like, yeah. So one of the questions that came up was like, well, what type of artist are you? He goes, if I gave you R2-D2 to model, would you take pride in making the most accurate R2-D2 you can, or would you want to do your own spin on R2-D2? And I said, neither. I don't want to make R2-D2. Like, that's not my character. I want to make my own characters. When am I going to get a chance to be the next George Lucas? I'm sick and tired of making this man money. Why am I wasting my artistic skill? To me, Star Wars is the biggest artistic black hole you can possibly, well, maybe not so much anymore. We'll see how Disney handles it. But at the time there, it was the biggest artistic black hole you could possibly find yourself in, because all you could do is create what was on screen, and then they give you everything. They're like, here you go, make this, don't deviate from that. And you had all these really talented people just working on this IP for decades. And okay, whoa, whatever, that didn't really, give us as a society anything new. It gave us a bunch of just crap. And I enjoy the extended universe. I'll tell you that. That's how they kept me on there for as long as they did. Was I basically got to a point where I told them I will work on dance. The part that on Star Wars Connect that everyone laughed at, which was the most fun out of everything, was the dance. Everyone refuses to admit it. And the reason I chose to work on dance is because it didn't follow any of the canon. I was allowed to create all the characters that I wanted, for whatever slots that they had. And I could create new characters. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. But they knew I was looking for a job. And as soon as I found it, I went down to King's Isle. And I tried not to get comfortable at King's Isle at all, because I didn't want to fall into that routine of, this is good enough. I could work here for another 9 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I did as much as I could. I didn't really socialize or anything at King's Isle, because I didn't really want to make friends there.
I could attest to this.
it was a temporary job, and the whole reason I moved down here was to shake things up so I can feel uncomfortable and get started on my own company, my own studio. Because once you pretty much get comfortable, you could fall into mediocrity real fast. And just kind of going with the crowd and just kind of doing everything, because you're safe. You got a paycheck. And I'm not like that. I just can't do that anymore. My life has always been about making big changes. So that's just what happened to me. Was, it came time, and start studio, and, bite the bullet, because I can. Being single and all that stuff just allows me to, or at the time, allowed me to do this, to move to Austin, to take that risk. I wasn't tied down. I didn't have family. I didn't have anything. So, got to do what you got to do.
So how did you go from a artist that was tired of working for the man to a studio with 14 people?
Just
like that's awesome to me. By the way, because it's really hard. When I start. When my partner and I started our studio, it was like we have to make money right away, because it was like we couldn't afford to just sit there for 2 years and work on something awesome and try to sell it in the marketplace. It was like we needed to actually pay the bills month one, So that's actually pretty awesome that you were able to do that. I was just kind of curious as to what your approach was. What were some of the things that you did? Got that going.
Our business partner put in seed money for that, and then
sweet.
I lived off my savings, So to me, it is what it is. If my studio falls apart, I'll just get another job doing something else, and I could pay off my debt. And so, if I don't take that initial risk of actually just saying, you know what, put up or shut up, Jesse, then I'm just never going to do it. And so I just
you take your opportunities when they happen. I mean, it's like that's awesome. You just grab both of the horns and do it.
And that's essentially what got us where we're at. And it's not like we don't have a studio or anything. I work out of my house. The other co-owner here, he comes over and we just work out of my apartment. And everyone else works remotely. But I mean, that's what we got to do. We're not jumping in. We're not. We're trying to be as careful as possible. So we're not even planning on having a studio through the entire first game.
Oh, that's very wise. I mean, studio space is a money pit. I mean, it's like for what we do, a studio is kind of essential. Because you need to, clients want to know they're working with a real company and not a dude in his basement.
Yeah.
But you guys are making a game. I mean, you are judged by the game that you make, not by how awesome your studio looks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you're doing it smart.
It's tricky, man. It really is. It's not an easy thing to do. And, I always tell people, just do it, if I can shut up and do it kind of thing, because you get a lot of people that are, complain. And there are, like we talked about before, now it's so much easier today to put out your game than it was in the early 2000s. In the 90s, that was like prime time. You could throw shit on a wall and people gave you fucking money for that shit. But we don't live in that time anymore. So try and get the middleman out of there. Mess with the publisher, the current publisher model, which is pretty awful in a way.
It's busted, so busted.
Yeah, you need to really focus on getting your games out there, and there's so many platforms now that just allow you to do that. You just got to sign up for it. As long as you're not making something that's stupid or even something that is fun. It's a game. If you can look at your game and say, yeah, no, this is a good game, you can get it out there easily on an actual console. If not, you always got PC and the internet. Just fucking send it out.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, that's essentially what it was. It's just I really just got tired of it, and I was like, at the time, I told myself, I'm 31. Why not? I've always had these stories in my head and these characters that I want to do. So like I said, it turned into a put up or shut up type thing.
Well, yeah, it's looking really promising so far, though, man. Looks like your game looks like a labor of love. It doesn't look like a manufactured, like, this is what all the kids are playing now, so that's what I'm going to make a game like that. It doesn't look like it was designed by what might sell the most. It looks like a game that was this is the kind of game I love. I want to make this. Those are my favorites.
It's definitely a labor of love, and all the guys that work on it, I try to align myself with people who do love this. They love the type of game that we're doing. It's a lot more. Like I always tell people, you're not working for me, you're working with me. So it's not like I'm telling you what to do. That should just come naturally. It should just be like, oh hell yeah, we're making this type of game. Oh yeah, we're gonna do. They should be excited about what they're doing. Yep. Ideally, that's what you would want.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah,
we really try to have that kind of not that kind of a non-hierarchy at our studio. I mean, everybody understands that we're all that this is the job and this is your role, and we just respect everybody's abilities and professionalism to fulfill their role without having to be policed or it's like. We were really loose about that sort of thing for that reason. It's just like, hey, and so far it's worked out. I mean, it's like we've got not only do we have a pretty strong crew, but we have a crew that our turnaround's pretty low. And anyone who has quit is like begrudging about it. They're like, man, I kind of gotta quit, and it's like we're still like really good friends with the people that have left us. It's pretty awesome. I mean, to have that approach,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I think it's very important also in a small environment, honestly, to allow people to do what you just hired them for. Like you don't. you don't constantly slow them down with unnecessary management and all these different layers. Like, oh, you got hired to do a job. This is what we'd like you to do. Go ahead and do it. I'll be over here doing my job.
Yes.
That's something. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Every person has their own needs, in terms of how, like, some people need a little more structure than others.
Yes.
And I found that out the hard way, where it's like what worked for this guy is not working for this one. And it's like, so the only thing that I'm still learning how to be a good manager, I guess you could say. But it's like, the only thing I can try to keep is just trying to continue communicating and trying to understand what's not working. And usually we work stuff out if you just keep talking. But for the most part, when you take a person and take away when you act like you don't trust them, when you act like that your assumption is that if I'm not watching you, then you must be screwing around. That is the most unhealthy environment you could possibly be in. And it breeds so much animosity, and to the point where that person doesn't want to step up when they need to. There's nothing good ever comes from that. And it's just like, that's just not the way we are going to be. It's just like, and so far, so far so good.
Yeah, that's essentially how I am too. I try my best to only work with seniors or people with a good amount of experience, but like I'll tell people, I said that the way I run things is, I'm paying you for a reason. You're not an extension of my arm. I'm paying you because I really like your artwork, or I like your design. I like that stuff about you. So it would be stupid of me to want to change you or want to micromanage you. I mean, granted, yes, everyone does work differently, and some people do need some schedules and stuff like that, and that's fine. I need task lists as well, but I should trust in my coworkers' abilities, because in the end, I cannot make this game on my own. Right. I need everyone. So if I am really trying to make a game that I wanted to make since high school, that's a pretty selfish thing for me to expect others to also want to make my game. Right. And that's not the way it works. The way it works is that you offer, you show people, hey, check this out. This is why this is cool. This is why you should care about this game. And then that will happen naturally. People will be like, yeah, and you show them you're positive about everything, and you're like, great job, you got everything, and they'll just want to work for you, and they'll want to do a good job for you.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Chad, you also hit a nail on the head earlier when you said you're learning to be a manager, and Jesse's talking about like learning to change the the way he interacts with different people, and you in the same, based on people's needs. And I truly believe that, like, being a manager, and I've had to learn this in the last year myself, is something that you're constantly having to learn. Like, I don't think anyone is ever like the perfect manager, but management, I think, is a skill that if you're open to learning it and you're flexible enough and you keep the lines of communication open, you can really increase the productivity and just overall positive environment of the studio space that you're in, even if you're not in a studio space, even if you're in an apartment. I think that's something that it's a very delicate skill that unfortunately not a lot of people have at the moment. Yeah. But it's something, having that skill is incredibly beneficial.
Yeah. And, being a lead on Ghostbusters really taught me a lot. I mean, I know the type of people that I have difficulties working with, and I know when I was a lead on Ghostbusters, I was an asshole. There was a lot of stuff going on in my life and everything, but it really did teach me a lot about how to interact with people and just how to do stuff, and the right type of mentality, especially to have around your coworkers. It's hard. It's hard.
It's really hard. It's very hard. It's especially especially when you're learning and trying to refine your abilities, kind of at the expense of your crew. Because like your crew has to deal with your inexperience as a manager.
Yeah.
That's so I don't envy them when you bungle.
Yeah, no, man, I know.
But I definitely my attitude from a management perspective is always, as a manager, it is not my role to be your overseer or your superior. My role is to assist you in getting your job done. My role is to do what it takes to keep you on task and let you do your job and not get in your way. And if the communication lines aren't flowing, if they're not getting the right things to do, if all those things are happening, that's all on you, and you have to fix those things. I would like to think that attitude works. Sometimes you do have to drop the hammer here or there, but for the most part, it's like it's kind of like what Jesse said earlier. You're not working for me; you're working with me. We are trying to collectively achieve this goal. It just builds so much more healthy of an environment than you're going to come in here, your ass is going to go in the seat, and you're going to work for me. You're going to get this job done because I told you to. It's like the totally different atmosphere when that type of shit goes down.
Yeah. Most unhealthy atmosphere.
Very unhealthy.
Very, very. Yeah. That's all we'll say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because my work history is a little bit less diverse. So if I was to, call out any mysterious company, then people would know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I hear you. I understand.
But it just comes down to just respecting your employees, respecting their skills, and understanding that, and remembering that you hired them for a reason. And I'm sure a lot of artists would really appreciate hearing that, because I know we as artists especially don't like being treated like kids, and it's like, shit, man, I'm doing my work, I'm fucking ahead of schedule. That's all that really matters, right? So it's okay if I, take a 2-hour lunch break because I need to do something, kind of thing.
It's like, I'll stay an extra hour. I'll stay an extra 2 hours. I'll get my work done. It'll be in on time. It'll be okay. I'm a big boy.
Yeah, that was like one of the great things that I really enjoyed about TRI was, I had definitely had seniority. This is what I really miss. I had all kinds of seniority, and I could pick and choose my tasks, because they knew that, hey, Jesse was going to get it on time. You know what? Sometimes in the middle of the day, I just need to fucking go walk around the mall or go to Best Buy, because I just need to get my mind off of my current task. And it's going to make me more productive in the end, as opposed to, like you were talking about earlier with Crunch, where if you just force me to be there, I'm just going to sit there and I'm going to waste time because I don't want to work on it. I'm going to be twiddling my thumbs because I'm stuck on a task or I'm bottleneck. So I come to a point where it's like, why am I here if I have no task, or whatever? I just, let me get out, let me think, let me refresh myself. I'll come back and I'll kick ass. But you have to give me that opportunity to. And so any kind of studio that does that is not a studio for me. That is now I put my foot down. If they're going to micromanage me and be upset that I came in 5 minutes late, fuck them. Fuck them all.
Yep.
I'll raise my Rudy's cup to that.
Yeah, that's just not the kind of shit that I do. Like, for instance, when I work crazy hours. Like, that's what motivates me. Like, when I'm working 20-hour days, I get a lot of shit done, especially at night when no one's around. So at TRI, what I told them, for instance, at the end of Ghostbusters, we finished all our characters, and I was working on props and propagating the sets and on all this stuff. We wanted to make Ecto-1 more accurate to the film version. So I took it upon myself. I said, well, let me do it. I'll do it. I got bandwidth for that. And they said, well, you have pretty much to the end of this week, which is like 3-4 days. And I said, okay, that's fine. As long as I can pass off the roof rack to one of the other artists, I can do the car. So I put in 3 straight, like 20 plus hours about days. And I basically sent out an email. I said, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be working on Ecto-1. Don't bother me. I don't want to hear it. I said, I'm going to leave when I feel like it, and I'm going to come in when I feel like it. don't bother me this week. And that's it. They were just like, go ahead. So I would walk out as people were going to lunch. I'd go home, sleep for 4 hours. I'd come right back in and work. And I just closed my door and I just worked. And they were totally okay with that. And then that's how studios should be run, because I was passionate about finishing the project that I was on, which was Ghostbusters, and the task that I was given, which was the Ecto 1. And I really wanted that to shine. So I was willing to put in my own time. I didn't need anyone to tell me, hey, you're going to fucking crunch on this shit. No, I did it because I knew that I wanted it to have a certain visual quality. And, I was fine. I don't regret that. I regret mandatory fucking crunch, versus Blood Rain 2 crunch where we were all just having a good time, That's the kind of shit that I like.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't get me started, dude. I can rant too.
Oh no, don't worry about it. That's why we're here, isn't it?
This is a group of bold men right here, and we can rant.
Poor Chris has had nothing to say.
Yeah, Chris has just been letting the two studio heads go at it.
Yeah, Chris
it's just one of those times where I just like I said, I kicked back and said, "Hey guys, go for it."
He's just gonna sit back and get all the money that he makes on YouTube.
Yeah, and no money at all.
He needs a new bike.
Internet pennies.
I have to go to sleep, guys. I've got children to take to school in the morning.
I still got another 6 hours or so.
Oh, good luck.
I got to do that rejuvenation thing.
What is
for?
Isn't that when they like spray water up your butt or something?
Yeah. Go do the.
It's like they cleanse your colon. They get all the old crap out of there.
Is that what they're doing in Colorado these days? Is that what's happening?
Chris, you're into all the health stuff, right? So you like a little
cleansing,
little colon cleanse.
Well, no, you don't really want to do that because actually that dehydrates you because you're supposed to keep that material. Yeah, you're supposed to keep that material inside your body until it comes out naturally because you're absorbing. There's a lot of hydration that's absorbed in waste.
As long as you keep packing that stuff back in, then you should be fine.
And holy shit, did we just diverge?
And we did.
Actually, to be perfectly honest, I think this is one of the few CrunchCasts I've ever been a part of that actually, I don't want to say it was on topic because I don't really know what CrunchCast really is, but man, we talked a lot about games and art today.
We did. Well, you guys did. I just kind of chimed in every once in a while. But I heard a lot of great conversations between you guys.
I like Chris's CrunchCast. I think I might, if I'm invited back, I might agree to come back. This is good stuff.
Anytime. I can basically hand off the show to you, Chad, and
Oh yeah, just get me, him, and John on there, and we'll have some good rants.
Done.
Of course, we'll probably have better after hours rants, so that's always the best.
I have a lot of pre-show material as well.
Chris just records it all because in the end, at some point in time, that blackmail material will come back. And
I can't wait to find out how much of Chelsea got into the CrunchCast this time. That's gonna be.
I had to restart the episode twice because of that.
She's an interesting girl. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, it's instantly likable. Instantly, no shit.
Yeah. So hey, Chad, you got anything to promote? Outpost 12 or whatever.
Nothing new, just as usual. Outpost 12 website, outpost12studios.com. We try to keep it updated. I don't know if it's been updated since the last time I was on the show. But
you guys provide what? Tell them. I know you've talked about it, but what exactly, in a sentence, would you say?
Oh God, I'm a terrible PR guy. But we basically like to call ourselves a full service shop. We do post production, so video, animation, editing, sound. We shoot. It's a pretty wide array there. As of late, we've been getting into a hell of a lot of interactive work. Hopefully, that translates into full-on game development in the near future. But
excellent.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, we'll be hurting for animation help as well at some point in time for cinemats and all that goodness. So that'll be
sweet.
Fun. Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Well, all right, guys, man, I am going to bed.
We have fun sleeping.
Yeah, you enjoy that 5-hour energy drink you're about to take, and
It's called cooking. That powers me.
all right, guys. Good night. It's great meeting you guys. It's awesome.
It's a pleasure.
All right, man.
Dude. Take care.
Take care, guys.
All right. Hey, Jesse, got anything you want to promote after that guy?
Well, as always, Mech Chronicles. Can come like us on Facebook at
Dinosaur Games.
Facebook.com/dinosaur dev. Yeah, Dinosaur Games was taken, I believe. Let me see. Actually, let me check.
Those assholes.
I know I didn't take it for a reason. Oh yeah. There's a Dinosaur Games. It looks like they have a picture of a Turok up there or something. I don't know.
Well, I got your Facebook link down. It's facebook.com/dinosaur dev or DEV.
What was your website again, Jesse? I was actually trying to find it earlier and couldn't.
Dinosaur Dev. I mean, there's dinosaurentertainment.com and mechnightgame.com, but all the action happened. I don't even know. I was talking about, do we even need .coms anymore with the whole Facebooks and all that? But yeah, it's just facebook.com dinosaur dev or Jesse Sosa on Facebook or Skanker0 on Twitter or whatever. All that stuff.
Well, shit. I'm sure your Facebook probably has your actual website link somewhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I said, Skanker0.com is my art site, but I took that down. Dinosaur Entertainment is our company's site, but we're redesigning that, and really the best thing to point people to right now is Facebook, Dinosaur Dev.
Gotcha.
And that's where you'll get all the stuff on the game and all that stuff, all that goodness.
And that sweet boy Patrick Morrison really doesn't really have anything to promote until whatever he's working on secretly comes out.
I cannot confirm nor deny that I am making or not making a video game. However, if you haven't purchased Dead Space 3 and you want maybe you want to play a game where you step on a whole bunch of space zombies, I'd highly recommend it.
Excellent. Yeah, that thing looks pretty sweet.
It is a fun game. I enjoyed it immensely, and it's the last thing to come out of the studio, the good studio that I work at.
I'm a big Dead Space fan. I just haven't had time to get to Dead Space 3, but I will soon.
The only thing about Dead Space 3 that I didn't like, and this is because the game that I'm working on, was the animation of his helmet transforming, because I'm just like, oh man, there's so much cheating in that. There's so much cheating.
There is a lot of cheating, but it looks good in game.
We cheat.
I just have to throw this out. I know the game is better than this, but my first impression with Dead Space 3, I have played a little bit of the front part of it. I was not at all happy to see chest-high walls in the first level of the game.
That is fair. That is a fair assessment. That is completely fair.
See, we, one of our goals is to also make toys and other things like that. So it's real important to me, very important, that we try and make everything work as much as possible. There's cheating because of the nature of the art, that it's low poly. But, oh man, when I go in there, and I make my main character's helmet transform, I make sure everything snaps and everything is there for a reason. So when I was watching on YouTube and I saw that trailer with the I can hear it calling in the air tonight, that thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I looked up and it's a guy and I was like, oh, that's what he looks like without a mask, right? And then suddenly this mask just kind of appears out of his chest. It goes, and I was like, oh my god. And I tapped Travis, and I was like, this is AAA money right here, dude. Check this out. AAA money. Can't figure out how to make that thing compact in a believable manner.
It is a gorgeous game, though, man. The art team outdoes themselves on those titles. They're just gorgeous.
Yeah,
but,
it's crazy.
That's awesome. But that's exactly how my coworker, he's kind of has an engineering background, and every single time we give him, he gets a job, it's like, this thing has to be functional. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Cheat. Just cheat.
There's definitely a point where cheating is perfectly okay, but it really depends on your ultimate goal. Like for us, like I said, we want to produce something that you can look at it and be like, that could be a toy. So for us, it's real important to make things as functional as possible.
Yep. He hates me every single time I tell him to cheat. I love it.
That's awesome.
All right, you assholes. Rub your desk raw with your mouses. destroy your Wacom's with your tablet. You gotta fucking roll. Yeah, destroy it. Roll it raw, making art. Rub it raw. Make art. Video games. Pat Morrison. Jesse Sosa. Chad Gleason. Thank you guys.
Later, Chris.
We made
Later,
it happen.
Chris, thanks for having me.
Had a lot of fun, as always.